Welcome back to part 2. We're going to finish doing the rest of the pages that I've planned in the book, and then the next part we will decorate it and I'll give you a final walkthrough. Okay, so just up to date, I'll just go through it. Got the front, I've just got a top flap with a pocket and an insert. Then we have a side flap, another side flap. This one we have a fold out with a side pocket, and then we have another flap with another side pocket there. This one has the bottom pocket, and then we have a little fold out piece with an insert, and then that one is the leftover from the previous page's fold out piece. We've made it into a top fold out with a pocket. So the next page I'm planning to do a belly band, which will basically be a band that goes vertically through the page, but it's open underneath so you can slot things in underneath the belly band. Now what I'm going to be showing you is a little bit on the trickier side. It's not hard at all, it's just we need to have a bit of thought into it. Because I want there to be a little bit of room under the belly band so it's not stuck down like some of the pockets where we just glued it down. I actually want to flap top and bottom so that we have that little bit of give in it. But the paper we are limited to is 8 inches high, and I need a 9-inch high piece of paper. So what we are going to do is create flaps for our piece of paper, or piece of cardstock. So what I need to do is I need a 4 1/4 piece wide by 9 inches high. So I'm going to cut down another piece to 4 1/4. I'll just make sure, sorry, this is 8 inches first. Yes, that is 8 inches. Measure twice, cut once, 4 1/4, like so. Now what we need to do, as you can see, this fits that page perfectly, but we need to have the flaps. So what I'm going to do is grab two 1-inch, or I'll need two 1-inch strips, which are from the leftover bundle that we have of all the card we've been cutting. So these also need to be 4 1/4 wide, like so. And then these we are going to score down the centre. I'm actually going to go from this side because it's easier for me. We need to score it at 1/2 inch, so we're scoring straight down the middle. That's 1 and 2. Then we are going to, I'll actually miter the corners before I fold and burnish. Like so. Then we're going to fold back onto the mountain side. Like so. And these are going to get stuck onto the 2 ends of our belly band, and then that will then sit on the page, like so. So we need to pop glue on there, and then just line it up with your score line, like so. Give it a good burnish and get rid of the excess glue. Another burnish. So that's one side done. We do exactly the same for the other side. Give it a good burnish, like so. So now we have our 9-inch long piece of cardstock, which will be going onto our page, which I'm going to do it on the inside, I think, like so. So I am not going to actually stick this down yet because it's going to be easier to pop the pattern paper on here first and then stick this down, I think. Although we can probably slide it in. I won't stick it down for now, so I'll just leave it there. So we're going to put those two pages together. So then this next page, I wanted to have a top and a bottom flap as well as a side pocket. So I'm going to put that there so I can see where I'm going. Now I'm just going to go through my scraps, see if I have the sizes I want. I want a side pocket 8 inches. That might actually work. by 3.5. It's 3 1/4. I reckon I'm going to make that work. Maybe. I'll leave that there for the minute. I don't like wasting. I don't want to have to cut another one if I don't have to. And no other bit I have is wide enough at the moment. Okay, so the top flap, I want it to be 5 inches deep by 4 1/4 across. And the bottom flap is 3.5 high by 4 1/4. So we need to add the 1/2 inch on the height and a 1/2 inch on the height there, because I'm going to tuck those flaps underneath so that it goes top and bottom. So let's have a look at what these measure. It's 4.5 by 6.5. So I can trim that down for that one. So here I need 4 1/4 by 4. Oof, they're 3.5. I don't think I've got anything else big enough. Oh, and by the way, I've also taken out 5 more pages out of the book to do these next lot of pages. And I've cut some things down already, which is why I've got these leftovers, which you might not have yet. So if I do, that was 4.5, and that's my 6.5, which is actually a really good size for a 6x4 photo. So I'll lose 1/2 inch off the top. So it'll sit roughly there. The bottom flap isn't going to be as wide if I use my leftovers, so I've got 3.5 wide. Let me see if that will work there. And if I have that pocket there, I'll just move that over a bit. Actually, those measurements work. So I'm just going to scribble in my book that it's going to be 8 inches high by, actually, it's only giving me a 2 3/4 pocket. So it's 3 1/4 and a 1/2 inch score. I like to give myself notes as I go along. So that is 3 1/4 by 8. That works there. This one I'm going to score at the top at 1/2 inch. So at the moment it's 6.5 by 4.5. And I'm going to score that at 1/2 inch. So I'll actually flip it around and I've got the pencil mark in the wrong spot there, that's okay. Do it at 6 inches there, so it's a 1/2 inch. So that's my top one there, which will sit there. My bottom flap is not going to be those measurements anymore. It's going to be 3.5. And I only want to go 3.5 plus a half, so I only want that one to be 4. How will that look, do we think? So 3.5. I think that'll be quite nice actually. So I need to cut that at 4 because I need that 1/2 inch flap. And score that so I need to score it on the 4 inch side, yes that's correct, by 1/2. Doesn't really matter what measurement it sort of is across the side. It's whatever works for you. I'm just using leftovers, so I'm going against what I had planned because I want to use leftovers. Right, so they are correct now, so I'm going to glue them down. So first I'm going to mitre the corners and burnish, and I want the flap to go under the page. So I want it to be here. This is not a pocket page, this one. It's a normal page. So glue on there, and I'm just going to pop my piece of paper in between those 2 pages so I can see what I'm doing. I should do the top one first actually, so then I can send to the bottom one. That would have made more sense, wouldn't it? Okay, helps if I burnish it straight to corners. And again, we're doing the inside. and that is going to go under, and I want to avoid those holes, so it's just there. Push it down a wee bit more. There we go. And I put my bone folder in my glue. That's handy, isn't it? So that's that one. Just put more glue on here because I wiped it all off by accident. And I want to sort of centre it on that top flap. And then we are going to burnish, like so. Now for our pocket, right at those corners. I go from the middle out if I can, and this one I'm going to pop under the page as well, so it's nice and hidden. And we're going to slot that in there, line up the top and the bottom, and a nice burnish, if I can get it in there straight. Right. Now I just want to glue down the sides of the pocket. And we're going to just give it a little pinch inwards so we create a little bit of a rise there. Okay. That is those 2 pages done. So now I can... Oh, so I wanted to decide, didn't I? Maybe I should make that decision now. What have I got here? I've already got those going in. So if I have that going in, is that going to cause a problem? Yes, it is. So I am going to glue it on the front. And I think we can just shimmy the decorative paper in, I think. But let's glue these 2 pages together. I'm going to close my book up a bit so that it is easier for me to glue it down nice and straight, like so. So glue around all 4 edges because this is not a pocket page. And a nice strong hold. Line up holes, line up all the edges of the pages. Just check that. Yep. And give it a really good burnish. So it's nice and strong. Okay, now book back out. So that's going to be the belly band, and there we have interesting flaps with the side pocket. This one I'm going to do a fold out page. I'll just move... I know that they're my waterfall. I'll move them over to there. Now, for this one, I want another pocket on the side. So I want a 3-inch, if I can, altogether. It's 2.5. I think that might be what I have to go with, because that's not long enough. That wasn't there, wasn't it? I don't have anything that's the right length, so I don't think it's going to matter if it's a bit shorter. I wanted it to sort of come to there, but it won't. That's okay. So this was 2.5 inches, so I'm going to change it to 2 inches plus the half. We are going to score 1/2 inch in. So my piece is 2.5, so I'm scoring it at 2. Miter the edges of where we have scored, and that will become that side pocket. But before I glue that down, I want to do this, design this bit here. Now this one I've already cut down to losing 1 inch there, because that's going to be a pocket page, and I have already done the tabs on my pocket page because you've seen me do that now, so I just did that ahead of time. So for this one, I need a piece that's going to be here. It's going to fold out. I need that to be 4.5 wide by 8 high, And for the two flaps, I am going for 4 inches across by 6 down, and 4 inches across by 4 up. So I am going to need to raid some more pieces out of here. So I need, I think, 3. Let's start with 2. I'm going to put a piece of paper there so I know that's a short page. Now I need to trim these down to lose that bit of holes, and that is going to be, I'll trim it first to my normal 7.5, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so that's 2 more bits at 7.5. And what I want to do is I'm going to score this one. Actually, first I better cut it down to size. So I need 4.5 by 8 high. So that's the 8 high, so I need to trim this at 4.5. Is that right? No, it's 8 high. So I go so just slide that in there to 4.5. Sorry, I'm doing all this in one day, so it is, my eyes are starting to get tired. Alright, so I've got the 4.5 by 8, and I need to score along the 4.5 side at 4, like so. And I'm going to miter those corners quickly and fold it back and burnish from the inside out. So that will slide into there, and that will be, I'll just fold that back and burnish that on the pocket while I'm at it. And that will be our pocket there. Not quite as wide as I was wanting it to be, but we will make it work. So this was 2.5 by 8, and this piece is 4.5 by 8. Writing the measurements on here makes it easier for me when I come to cut the pattern paper. I just decrease that a little bit and then I'm fine to go. So on this now, we are going to create a top flap, which will be 4 inches wide. I need 2, 1 at 6, 1 at 4. So that's not going to come out of one sheet of paper, I don't think. And none of these were wide enough. No, there are only 3. And I do need it to be the same as this. So I'm going to need another piece. So I'm just keeping a written note of how many pages I'm using. So I've used another 3. And I need to trim this one down. Okay, so I've got 2 pieces here. They both need to be 4 inches wide. I might get more real estate if I do it that way, actually. So 4 inches. Then one needs to be 5.5 plus the 1/2 inch. So that's 6. That's the top. And this one needs to be 3.5 by. So it's got the 4, 3.5 plus the 1/2, so that is 4. And then we are scoring the top and bottom of those. So we are scoring along the 6-inch side at 5.5 and along the 4-inch side at 3.5. It's up there, and I'm going to miter those corners. Burnish, fold back and burnish. Right, so that's the top, that's the bottom, like so. But they are going to actually sit on this piece. I'm just going to put my piece of paper in between so I don't accidentally glue everything together. So the top is going to sit over like so, keeping the bottom flap aside. So we need to glue on the inside, like so. Line up the sides. Make sure we are even down the side, which we are. Give it a good burnish. And it's the same thing for the bottom. We put glue on the inside. Line up the sides. Make sure it's all lined up properly. Give it a good burnish. Get rid of any excess glue. Right. So we have our top and bottom flap, and then that is all going to get attached like so. So we need to put glue again on the inside of the flap. Then making sure we've only got one page, we are going to line this up, top and bottom, against the score line. Make sure it folds in. Give it a good burnish, get rid of any excess glue. Burnish on that side as well. Okay, and now I'm going to put my pocket down, so I need to glue on the outside of the flap. Line it up top and bottom, and going as close as we dare to the binding. Give it a good burnish, and then again just the two sides, and we are going to put them down and sort of gently squeeze in again. So we create a little area there. Give it a good burnish. So that is that page done. So we've got the pocket, we have a top and a bottom flap, whichever way they're going to go, and then we open it out. So it's a bit of a fancy flip page, that one. And then that will stay closed when we pop something into there, and that will hang over there and close it. So, let me see. I'm leaving the page on the other side plain, so I am going to glue all this down, but this is our pocket page, remember, because it is shorter. So we are only going to put glue top, left and bottom to create our pocket page. And lining everything up. Popping it down, making sure that it is all lined up on that side as well, which it is. So what I do is I open everything out that I can and burnish. Like so. And that is that pocket page done. And I have the insert for that one. I'm just going to pop that there for now. Leaving that side plain. I may decide to do something there. I'm not sure yet. At the moment, I wanted it to be plain. Now, this is these are the last two pages that I've got planned in the book, because I wanted to see if I had enough paper, and I might still come back and add later if I want to. So this one we are doing a horizontal waterfall. A waterfall is basically where you can just keep lifting the photos up. I do my waterfalls a little bit differently to most other people. I like to have as much real estate as I can in the album, so I create the waterfall so there's also a pocket. Bear with me, it's not hard, it just needs a little bit of a thought process going through it. So I have already cut my waterfall pieces ahead of time, and they are 6.5 by 5. Now we are going to be scoring a 1/2 inch on the top of all these, and that gives us real estate of 4.5 by 6.5, which once we've matted fits a 4 by 6 photo perfectly. And we also need to have a piece that is 7 inches wide and 7.5 inches tall, so that we have the waterfall forming a pocket. So I am going to need another piece just to do that bit. So I need to trim that down. This has to be 7 by 7.5. So we're already going to have our 7.5 once I trim off the holes, like so. And then, so that's 7.5, so then I need it by 7. I'm just going to double check. Yes, 7. Like so. So that is 7 inches and that is 7.5. Yes, they're my waterfall pieces. So this one, the 7 by 7.5, we need to score on, I need to score 1/2 inch at the top, 1/2 inch at the bottom, and 1/2 inch on this side. So along the 7-inch side, we are scoring at 1/2 inch. And then we turn it, and on the 7.5-inch side, we are scoring it 1/2 inch in from both ends. So we're scoring at 1/2 inch and 7 inches, like so. And this forms a really big pocket. So we're going to get rid of some of the bulk out of the corners where all the scoring meets each other, like so. And now I'm going to leave this piece for now, and I'm going to score my waterfall pieces. So my waterfall pieces need to be scored 1/2 inch on the 5-inch side. So I'm just going to score them at 4.5 because it's easier for me to do it that way. And we do that to all of them. And I have 5 pieces, which will give you room for 10 photos. Okay. Now we'll take the waterfall pieces and we're going to lie to the corners. And fold and burnish each of those score lines. Last one, like so. Okay, we've got all of those scored and burnished. Now we take this piece again and we start laying our waterfall down. So what we are going to do is basically lay them one by one down this piece here. So we need to glue the first piece on the outside of the flap, and we are going to put that right up at the score line and right along the side there. It is important you get it as straight as possible, which is why I like having this piece here, because it's easy to see. So we're going to flip that one up. The next piece will go down where that one ends. So we'll fold it and we'll put it down like so. So again, we put glue on the outside edge and we lay it down right up against the previous one and flush with the side. So now you can see that it's starting to take place. Repeat it for the next one. Right up against the previous one and right along that side edge. Get rid of any excess glue. Next one is exactly the same. Right up to the last one and straight along that side edge, like so. So we have 4 in place. The 5th one, you can do the same way again, if you wish, or I like to flip it that way, so that I have a double score line there, and then this has got no flap showing. So I'm going to do it that way, but first we just need to trim a smidgen off that flap so that the waterfall will still function without getting caught. And now I'm going to put glue on the outside of that, and I'm going to lay it flat down onto the previous one. And this is where we need to come down to the bottom score line and flush with the side, and then burnish it down. So we are completely flush with that side, up to the score line there, up to the score line there, and up to the score line on this side. And our waterfall looks like that. And then we have a nice spot here with no flap. And then what we do is we fold and burnish 3 sides that we scored on the bottom piece. Just make sure that you do it so that it's flush, like so. And then I'm going to cover this page with pattern paper first, and then that gets placed in the centre or over to this edge a bit, and you have a nice pocket behind. You can attach the whole thing down if you want, but I like to have a bit more real estate, so that's why I create a pocket there. So that will be that one. And this is not going to be a pocket page, so I'm going to glue them together now. I'm just going to flip my album over a bit and glue them together. Bring this one back over, line up the holes, line up the page, check on the other side, and give it a really good burnish. Get rid of any excess glue that's come out. Okay. This side of the page, which is the last page that I have got designed, I've got 4 pages left by the way at the moment, I'm going to make a booklet and a pocket. So the pocket, I'm hoping I can use leftovers, because I've got a few now. I don't think any are going to be the right width. Yeah, but what we can do, I want it to be 3 inches plus a ½ inch. So it will need to be one of those taller pieces. And I want a 3-inch pocket plus a ½ inch. So I need it to be 3½ inches, because this, there they go up there. Yeah, that's too big. So I do need it to be 3½ inches high. So it's only a little bit off that I've taken off, just that, but it does make a difference. And I'm going to score this at ½ inch, or in this case I'm going to score it at 3, because it's 3½ inches wide. I'm going to miter the corners. Sorry, I had to think then what I was doing. So that's going to be my pocket down there. I just don't have the side ones. What you can do is, like we did with the belly band, is use strips there, which I think I might actually do. So I've got some little strips here left over. They just need to be 3 inches high, because they're already 1 inch wide. So 3 inches high. And then we're scoring them straight down the middle at ½ inch. I'll do it from this side because it's easier for me. And that one. Like so. Miter the corners. so. Fold and burnish on the mountain side. And then we are going to attach them to here, but I might actually go ahead and fold and burnish the bottom edge. And then these are going to go on like so. So it mimics that one there. So we're going to glue the outer edge, pop it down, make sure it's correct there. Same with this one. Make sure that's correct there. Okay, so that's our makeshift pocket. You can't even tell because it's all hidden on the inside. So I'm going to make my life a bit easier here and open my book out so that I've only got that page that I'm worried about. I'm just going to move my waterfall to there for the moment, so it's out of the way. I'm going to glue this down. So we are doing the bottom edge first. It's always easier to do the bottom edge and then do the sides, I find. Okay, lining that up with the bottom edge and the left-hand side edge. Like so. Burnish that down. And now we can do the two sides. Line it up on the edge there, straight up there. And we have our pocket. I'm just going to write down what my measurements were on that. So that's 3 inches by 7.5 plus a half, plus a half, plus a half, which is just all the flaps that we did, just so that when I go back and write this up properly, I know what I'm doing. Now the booklet, I've done 4 pieces, and they are 7 inches long by 4.5 inches wide. So we've got 7 inches long, 4.5 wide, and then we're scoring at a 1/2 inch along the 7-inch side, and that ends up giving us 6.5 by 4.5, which once it's matted fits a 4x6 photo perfectly. So I've got 4 of those pieces. I'm going to turn my album around so that it's easier to place them, and they are going to go here, and they're going to sit on top of each other. Actually, I'm going to do 2 that side and I'm going to do 2 that side. That'll be really good, I think. So we are going to put glue on the outside edge of the tab and sticking it right up in the corner, making the side even and the top even, and burnish that down like so. And then this one is going to sit directly on top. So again, lining everything up and burnish it down. Okay, I'm going to turn my album upside down to do this other side. Just open those out to make it easier. Again, glue on the outside flap. Fold it down. We are going to be flush up the top and as close as we can to those holes, but not touching the holes. And burnish that down. And the second one is going directly on the top again. So glue on the outside of the flap and putting it exactly on top, making sure everything is lined up perfectly, and give it a good burnish. So turn my album the right way, open it out. What we have made is a booklet, like so. And then we've got the pocket here, so when something gets put in the pocket, it'll keep that booklet closed. And I have 4 pieces left over, as well as I've got like little scraps here, which can be used for so many things, so much, so don't throw the scraps away. When we go to decorate the book, I may even still come back and use some of those to create a bit of interest, especially on this page, which is quite plain. Okay, so I'll just do a quick walkthrough of what we've got. We've got the top flap with a pocket, insert page, then we've got the side flap and a side flap there. We have a side pocket with a side flap. We have another side flap, side pocket. We have a little flip out with a bottom pocket and an insert page. And then we have the top fold out, bottom pocket. We're going to have the belly band there. And then over the page we have a bottom flap with a top flap and a side pocket. And then this one here, we have top and bottom flap, and then that opens out to a side flap. And we have a pocket, and this one is a pocket page. So that goes in there like so. And if that one's on top, this one will probably do so the top one is on top, just for interest. And the next page we have is plain at the moment. And this one has our 5-tier waterfall, which will become a pocket. And then this one has our side flip booklet and a bottom pocket. And when we close it all up, now remember it's undecorated at the moment, but you can see how much bulk is in there. I wouldn't actually add any more pages to that at all. I would keep that as it is now. And we have quite a few pages in there, and it does up with the ribbon. So that is the end of part 2. Part 3 we begin to decorate it. I'll see you in part 3.